Hello and welcome to episode 152 of Glitch Report. My name is GnittWitt. Thank you so much for joining me today on the show. Thank you so much for stopping by, saying hi, kicking it with me today on the stream of dreams, the show of shows, and everything in between. You can find everything that I do over at my Linktree. That is linktree.com/GnittWitt, GnittWitt. I am on Twitch. I am on Instagram, Threads, as well as TikTok, plus more links to places that I can be found at, but I'm not frequenting, if that makes any sense. Welcome back. This is week 2 of being back to our regular schedule. That regular schedule could change at any moment, and if it does, I will let you know, but we're back. Same old, back with a vengeance, so to speak. And thank you for joining me. Really, I appreciate you listening, watching, hanging out with me today. We got a huge amount of news. We got a lot of Nintendo news to get to. I've been playing more of the Nintendo Switch, I think now, the Nintendo Switch 2 specifically. And I think I feel a little more confident able to talk about the Switch 2. So we are going to do that later on in the show. But there's a lot of Switch news to get to. They held a partner showcase. We're going to talk about that. They have increased the price of some of their products, especially where I'm at in Canada. We are going to talk that and so much more, and so much more. So let's strap in, and we're actually going to kick things off talking about the hardware and games price increase in Canada. So here's what happened. Tariffs happen, and I don't know if you know anything about tariffs, but they're bad. Nobody likes them, and I think the people who claim to like them don't actually understand how they work, because it's screwing the average person more than anybody else. But that being said, what happened is starting on August 1st, it is August 6th at the time of this recording. So on Friday, after the podcast had already been out, Nintendo announced that the Switch hardware and games were going to get more expensive in Canada. However, the Switch 2 unaffected for now, at least. So here's what's going on. There are 3 different Switch 1 models available in Canada. Now, I should mention that, if you're in the States, or if you're in the UK, or you're wherever, parts of Asia, wherever you are, check your local listings, but there is a chance that your price increase has gone up as well. It definitely went up in the States. So it is not just Canada. That being said, here's what we have. The Nintendo Switch Lite has gone up from $260 to $280 in Canada. The Switch Lite, the Switch 1 Lite, again, these are all Switch 1 games and stuff right now. Switch 1 has gone up to $280 in Canada. The Switch Lite is the handheld only. So you think about the Switch as a hybrid console, plug it into the dock and the TV and take it on the go. This was just the handheld only model of the Switch 1 that has gone up from $260 to $280. The base model Nintendo Switch has gone up from $400 to $420. That is the weed number. If you like to smoke weed, might I recommend the game console that costs $420. And if you were looking for a slightly fancier Nintendo Switch, perhaps one where the built-in screen is an OLED display instead of the traditional LCD, and a little bit of a bigger display as well, might I recommend the Switch OLED, which cost $450 and is now $490 in Canada. Joy-Cons, if you're looking for a pair of Joy-Cons, those are the controllers that go on the side of the consoles, allow you to play it in handheld mode. The Nintendo ones are going to go from $100 to $110. The Pro Controller, that is the standard, controller that you would see on like an Xbox or a PlayStation, like that sort of version of a controller, has gone up from $90 to $100. Most games have gone up $5. They used to be $80. Now they're $85 in Canada. That means Super Mario Bros. Wonder is now $80. However, one exception, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom was $90. It has now gone up to $100. Nintendo Switch Sports, that is their version of like the Wii Sports sort of game. That has gone up $5. That is now 55 in Canada. Standard amiibos. If you're looking to get into the amiibo business, that is going to run you. Used to run you $22. Now it's going to run you $23. The amiibos are the collectible figurines from Nintendo that also give you in-game perks and bonuses when you use them in compatible games. I have 3 amiibos. Don't judge, but I didn't pay $23. At least I don't think I paid $23. If I did, may God strike me down. Alarmo. That is the smart alarm clock from Nintendo. Used to cost $130, is now $140 in Canada. And like I said, these prices are also going up in the United States. Now, a couple things to note is I was looking at Nintendo's site because there are, I must admit, like, I've kind of talked about it last week, playing the Switch 2 as a kind of backwards compatible Switch 1, right? The way people get their PlayStation 5s and they play a lot of PlayStation 2 games and whatnot. That was kind of my thing. That was kind of my thing with the Nintendo Switch 2. That being said, I don't love the idea of going and paying a bunch of money out the butt for something like Super Mario Bros. Wonder or Super Mario 3D World or Xenoblade Chronicles 3 or whatever. Like, the idea of going back and paying out the ass for that stuff was not necessarily my idea of a good time. So I would just like to remind folks that if you do have the Nintendo Switch Online, the online subscription service, you can buy. They're still available. They are going away. I don't exactly know when they're going away, but they are going away. But I would just like to remind you that you can buy there's this thing you can buy from Nintendo. It's a weird thing, but let me just try to explain it. You can buy the Nintendo Switch game vouchers. And what those are is they are digital coupons that you can redeem for select games from Nintendo and their partners. So the way it works is you have to have a Nintendo Switch Online membership. You don't have to have the highest tier, but you just need a basic tier of Nintendo Switch Online to get it. They are the games are going to, the vouchers are $133, but you get 2 of them. So right there, you do have to pay tax on the vouchers, but right there, $133 for 2 game vouchers. That comes to $66 a pop. $66.50 for 1 game, and you get 2 of these games with the vouchers because you get 2 vouchers with it. That's actually not a bad deal considering, Super Mario Wonder, for example, is a $85 game now before tax. Like I said, you pay the tax on the vouchers, but there is some savings to be had if you decided to go with getting into older Switch 1 games by getting this Nintendo Switch game voucher pack. So if you are interested in doing so, they are still happening right now. A lot of these games are also going to be available for Nintendo Switch 2 as part of backwards compatibility. None of these games are Switch 2 versions of the game. So let me just clarify that right now. For example, if you were to redeem this coupon, one of the coupons for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, that is going to be the Switch 1 version of Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, then running on your Nintendo Switch 2. So if you decide you want to do the upgrade, if you want to pay for the upgrade or whatever, like more power to you. But there are quite a few, I was looking at the list, quite a few eligible games to be considered. Super Mario Party Jamboree, Mario and Luigi Brothership, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, Xenoblade Chronicles X. I believe they also have Xenoblade Chronicles 1, 2, and 3 that you can also get as well separately. Fitness Boxing 3, Your Personal Trainer. You can get Luigi's Mansion 2, Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, Paper Mario, The Thousand Year Door, Princess Peach Showtime, Super Mario RPG. The list goes on. So anyways, if you do have that, if you're looking to scoop up a couple of Nintendo Switch 1 games now that the price has gone up, it looks like the vouchers didn't increase in price, or at least I don't know what the original price was for those vouchers. But in Canada, a voucher is going to run you 2 vouchers is going to run you $133 before tax, and that just gives you instant unlock of 2 games of your choosing if you wanted to do that. But perhaps you're not looking to the past for old Nintendo games, and instead looking to the future. And if you are, Nintendo had a direct partner showcase that happened just last week, covering a lot of third-party games coming to Nintendo Switch 2. And Switch 1, I should mention. These are not games made by Nintendo. These are games made by Capcom and Square Enix and Bandai Namco and things like that. These are not games made by Nintendo. But they did have a showcase. I did not love the showcase. There were honestly not a lot of games that really grabbed me from the showcase. If I'm being honest, I was not impressed by what they had to show. But you're here, I'm here. Let's kind of run through kind of quickly what was shown off. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, showing you how that Hyrule Warriors game connects to the Tears of the Kingdom game. You'll be able to play as Princess Zelda, King Rauru, R-A-U-R-U. I don't know if I've ever heard that Zelda character before. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Hyrule Warriors is the Dynasty Warriors ass, 1 million troops ass game where you just are cutting down 1 million dudes over and over in a game. If that's your thing, more power to you. Monster Hunter Stories 3, that is the spin-off of the Monster Hunter series that is kind of pulling more from stuff like Pokemon. They announced Monster Hunter Stories 3 Twisted Reflection coming out in 2026. Square Enix also announced Octopath Traveler 2, which is going to be a new HD 2D adventure for the Switch 2 this December. Not to be outdone, they also announced a game called The Adventures of Elliot the Millennium Tales, which is Square Enix's latest action RPG that is also coming to Switch 2. There is a demo available now, but it is not going to be, the full game will not be out until 2026. They also showed off more Final Fantasy Tactics, which I am excited about. That is the Ivalice Chronicles, which is going to feature fully voiced dialogue, enhanced graphics, and a ton of gameplay improvements. Football fans, go long because Madden NFL 26 is going to be coming to the Switch 2 this August. EA Sports is also going to be bringing Football Club 26, its soccer game, to the Switch in September. Persona 3 Reload is going to be coming to Switch on October 23rd. That is the Switch 2, I should mention. And I believe that in the case of Madden, it is coming to Switch 2, but Football Club is coming to Switch 1 and Switch 2. Star Wars Outlaws, a game that I don't think is very good, will be coming to Nintendo Switch 2 on September 4th of this year. Plants vs. Zombies Replanted brings back the beloved tower defense game that'll be coming to Switch 1 and Switch 2 October 23rd. It will present a the game in HD graphics along with local co-op and PvP, and if you pre-order the game, you can unlock a retro pea shooter skin. Plants vs. Zombies, if you don't know Plants vs. Zombies, it is a tower defense kind of puzzle game sort of thing where you have a garden and the zombies come to attack your garden, and you are planting crops, and the different crops have different abilities. Like, oh, I got a pea. I'm planting peas over here. I'm planting peas in this area, and these peas are actually going to shoot at the zombies to take them out. Or I'm gonna plant a sunflower, and the sunflower is going to generate more resources for me to, maybe upgrade my pea shooter to a frozen peas, and then the frozen peas will, freeze the zombies. And anyways, it was cute and it had its time, and I don't know if that time is come back or not, but if you feel like it is, October 23rd. Chronos: The New Dawn, that is the new game from Bloober Team. Those are the folks that did a little game called Silent Hill 2 Remake, and that is going to be coming to Switch 2 September 5th. That is also going to be coming to other platforms as well. It will tell a terrifying third-person survival horror tale involving time travel, overwhelming foes, and much more. In this tale, Players will explore two different eras, a brutal future in 1980s Poland. I don't know anything about 1980s Poland. Maybe it doesn't look much better than a brutal future, but who can say? Once Upon a Katamari will have you rolling, just like Limp Bizkit said. Once Upon a Katamari is the latest entry in the beloved Katamari series, and this game is another wacky and wonderful tale. Earth was accidentally destroyed in this game, and the starry sky has vanished. Your job is to restore the stars of the universe, and you'll have plenty of fun rolling up everything on the way. If you've never seen Katamari, it is a game. It's a puzzle game where you are rolling things in the environment, and you kind of you're rolling object scale as you get stuff. So you might be in a room, in like a bedroom or something, like in a child's room or something, and be like, okay, I rolled up the socks, and now I rolled up the rattle, or I rolled up the soother, and now I'm rolling up the crib, and now I'm rolling up the TV, and it gets like kind of bigger and bigger until you're like, going through parts of the world, rolling up cars and buildings and all of this crazy stuff. Anyways, long running series. That is going to be coming out. Once Upon a Katamari will be coming out October 24th. I do not know if it's coming out to other platforms. I should have checked. Chillin' by the Fire is a campfire simulation game that will also feature online multiplayer. You can team up with a few friends, and it seems to be a game in which you just slow down and chill and watch a campfire grow. Anyways, you might be getting into the Yakuza games through Yakuza 0, which is out now on Nintendo Switch 2. And if you played it and you were like, man, I gotta get me some more Yakuza. Well, Yakuza Kiwami 1 and 2 will also be coming out to Switch 2. Now, keep in mind that Yakuza Kiwami 1 did come out on the original Switch. So if you're looking to get the Switch 2 version of it, you can upgrade for a discounted price. And just a reminder that Yakuza 0 is also the game that features English dubbed voice acting for the characters in Yakuza 0. Pac-Man World 2 Repack. Pac-Man World 2 Repack, that is the remake of Pac-Man World 2, will be coming out in its modernized, enhanced, and upgraded glory September 26th. If you like that first Pac-Man World Repack game, you might like this. I don't know. I don't remember a lot about the Pac-Man. I played a little bit of Pac-Man World 1 on PS1, and I didn't think it was an amazing game. I don't know what the Pac Repack, Pac's Back Baby, the Bastard Pac-Man. I don't know what the state of Pac-Man World Repack is, but I thought the trailer looked okay. I'm like watching it here, and I'm like, oh, this game looks okay. It's as far as like third person platformers go. You could do worse than this, but maybe I need to go back and play the first one. I don't know. Just Dance. Ubisoft is continuing to dance as if no one is watching, especially when it comes to the sales of a lot of their video games. Just Dance 2026 edition grooves its way onto Nintendo Switch in October, featuring such hits as Houdini by Dua Lipa, Counting Stars by One Republic, and Hung Up by Madonna. This version of the game also supports local dancing with up to 6 people. And I'll tell you right now, if I had 6 people dancing in my living room, I would call the cops. That's what I would do. Because what are these people doing in my house, and why are they all dancing? Also, if I had One Republic playing in my house, I might call the cops. Just Dance. I forgot about that series until I watched. So I did watch the showcase, and I was like, oh right, Just Dance. This is probably where Ubisoft makes most of their money. If I had to guess. Apex Legends is arriving on Switch 2 very soon. That is going to be out August 5th. Dragon Ball Sparking 0. The reason why I say sparking like that is because it's Dragon Ball sparking !0. So it is Dragon Ball Sparking 0. Anyways, Dragon Ball Sparking 0 is headed to Nintendo Switch 2. That is coming out November 14th. And then they kind of just, rolled with the quick hits of stuff that you can also expect throughout the rest of the year, and more, such as Borderlands 4 coming to Nintendo Switch 2 October 3rd, Romancing Saga 2 Revenge of the Seven, which is out now. Hello Kitty Island Adventure Wheat Flower Wonderland is coming out in the fall, and Shinobi Art of Vengeance, the demo is available now before its launch date of August 29th. I played a little bit of that Shinobi Art of Vengeance game, and that game seems neat, but I didn't play a lot of that demo, so take that for what you will. And then also we got NBA Bounce coming September 26th and Goodnight Universe coming November 11th. Now, if that's not enough for you, if you are just like, GnittWitt, that's not what I wanted, or I want more, or I just can't get enough, you know, whatever the case may be, I got more for you. Nintendo is also going to hold an Indie World live stream this Thursday. The show will include 15 minutes of information on indie games coming to Switch consoles. If that's not enough, I don't know what is. Maybe Nintendo will have another direct soon. I don't know. I mean, they did just put out a console. They probably need games to go with it, right? We can't all be sitting around playing Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong. One final Nintendo news story, and then we'll take our first break. You may not know this. You may not. You may also not care if you don't buy games physically. I'm not here to judge, but let's just kind of take it as we go. Nintendo is putting out a survey and seeking feedback on the game key cards, physical and digital purchases. Now, if you've never heard of a game key card, if you forget what a game key card is, let me run it back for you. When you go buy Nintendo Switch 2 games, a lot of those games, especially third-party games, come on these game key cards. And what a game key card is it is a physical cartridge that you put inside the Nintendo Switch 2 that then prompts you to download the game in order to play it. And then you keep the key card inside your console while you are playing the game. So it is technically a game key card with nothing but the authentication, key on it. And then you download the game for free because it verifies your authentication, whatever. And then you go and you play it. For example, I don't actually know a lot of game key cards because I wasn't like, none of those games interested me. I wasn't going to buy any of those games. I know that no Nintendo game, every Nintendo game has a proper physical cartridge, and even Cyberpunk 2077 has a proper physical cartridge. But if you go buy a Switch 2 cartridge game, there is a good chance that game is actually a game key card. So there's basically three ways you can buy a Switch game. You can go buy the game key card, which is a physical box. It looks almost the same as a physical game. You put the game key card in your console the same as you would a physical game, but you download it to the console itself. You can also go buy physical cartridges of the games. Those are just regular games that you just, can play. You don't need to download them. You might need to update them. There's a very good chance that if you go get, Cyberpunk 2077 on Switch 2, that you are going to then have to go download a day one update in order to fix some of the issues that game probably launched with. I don't know how big the launch issues were. I don't know how big the updates are. I don't even know if there was a patch for Cyberpunk 2077. But the point is that, as we all know, with a lot of physical games, the first thing you do when you go get a physical game is update it. And if you have something like a PlayStation 4 or a PS5 or an Xbox, when you put the disc in that console, you're probably installing it to the console anyways. And then the game basically acts as the key card to authenticate it, because once something like Mass Effect, Andromeda is installed onto your PlayStation 4, you still need the physical disc inside to do it. So not too different than a game key card, but there is a good chance that you don't need internet connectivity to actually download the full version of the game, but you'll probably need internet to download whatever updates there were for the game. And then finally, there's digital purchase. You go down to the Nintendo eShop store, you click, I want the Donkey Kong, and then it says, you got it, buddy. And then the Donkey Kong magically is downloaded to your device over time, however long your internet connection may be. That is all to say that I will probably be buying digital. I to me, I'm trying to play it very, very safe in terms of what Nintendo games I buy. So for me, if I'm going to spend money on this Nintendo console, I would like to buy games that I know I'm going to like, play, and complete, that sort of thing. Meaning that, I don't see much of a point of getting a physical version of the game. Also, in a scenario where this game console is supposed to be a handheld or a hybrid handheld, the idea that I'm like sitting on my couch somewhere playing on the handheld version, and then I want to switch to another game, and then, oh wait, I got to go back to, the living room or whatever room has the games in it, grab the cartridge, switch out the cartridge, and all that stuff is just silly. I don't need that in my life. I'm so used to digital games on my PC, right? I can't tell you the last time I put a disc in this PC, which doesn't have a disc drive anyways, but I had a portable disc drive at one point, and I don't remember the last disc I put into it. And when I was playing my PS4 a couple weeks ago, most of the time I was just playing whatever digital games I had. Games that I would have bought on sale at one point in time, or whatever the case may be. So to me, game key cards don't interest me, and physical cartridges don't interest me. I understand that if you are thinking about reselling or trading or giving away or whatever, your physical games, that's fine. And in fairness, nothing is stopping you from, selling or trading or giving away the game key card. I haven't been to like an EB Games or anything like that, so I don't know, but I imagine that with the game key card, you can still sell it or trade it in at, a store or whatever for store credit or whatever you're doing. And then that store just has to tell people, hey, this is the game key card, so you have to go download the game when you get home, but here's the authentication key card, go nuts. I don't know. But to me, it's just like, there's nothing precious about, like, the precious thing to me is playing the games. The precious thing to me is the instantaneous access, or the near instantaneous access to the games themselves. It's being able to be anywhere and fire up a game if I have it installed, be anywhere and fire up a game if I have it. It's being able to download the games, while I'm doing something else, or whatever the case, pre-ordering. I mean, I don't think I'm going to be pre-ordering a lot of games, because I could just wait for them to come out and make sure reviews are good and all that stuff. But, yeah, if you are curious, there is a survey that you can go to. When I click the link, it says, sorry, the survey is not currently active. Well, okay then. This news story is only 2 days old, so I don't know what to tell you. There are a lot of people who are very passionate about physical game collection, physical media collection. And I say more power to them, right? Like, if you are adamant about owning every last scrap of digital media in a physical format, whether that be I have a Blu-ray collection, I'm collecting vinyl, or whatever the case may be. Like, if you want to get in on physical media, go ahead. I have lost almost all desire for physical media. My family does have something of a Blu-ray and DVD collection. And when I was looking through that, I thought to myself, fuck it, I'll just run a Plex server, because I don't want to look at these discs any more than I have to. And now I have a Plex server with those movies on them, after, I guess the last time I plugged something into this PC was when I was ripping those discs. So I guess it wasn't actually that long ago, but in the grand scheme of things, but I don't care. Maybe you care. I don't care about physical media. Like, if I have a game on physical, that's fine. If someone buys me a physical game, as a present or whatever, that's fine. If I'm somewhere and the physical version of the game is on sale and it's cheaper than the digital, that's fine. But like, a lot of these games do go on sale in various shapes and sizes across physical and digital. And I know that, with physical games, they're taking up shelf space, so they got to move, and maybe they have limited quantities or whatever the case may be. That is fine as far as I'm concerned. But I got to be honest, I'm only going to be buying game key cards and physical games if they are cheaper and easier for me to grab in that moment than buying the digital version. But who knows what the future holds for that system as Nintendo continues. The other thing is that with the game key card title and a digital download, let me read the actual news story. Hold on, because there's a little bit more to it. The survey asks whether players prefer buying games physically or digitally and seeks feedback on Switch 2's controversial game keycards, which have proved unpopular with some consumers. The only difference between a game keycard title and a digital download is that the former can be resold and will work on other Switch 2 systems without the need of virtual game card lending. So, what that means is, so there's a system in the Switch 2 called virtual game cards. And what that basically means is that when I have a digital only game, let's say Borderlands the pre-sequel, why I have Borderlands the pre-sequel on my Switch account, I will never understand. But the point is I have it. So what happens is with the virtual game card is that it is as simple as re-downloading it, but it does do something before it starts to re-download. What it does is it basically turns that card, there's like a little animation where it turns the digital game into a cartridge that then slides into the Switch 1. And the idea being is that you are basically making a one-of-one version of that game that only you can play. So if you wanted somebody to do something like play the Borderlands pre-sequel on your from you would have to eject the virtual game in order for somebody else to play it if you wanted to lend it to people through like family sharing and stuff like that. Whereas I guess with a game key card you can't, which then begs the question, what the fuck is the point of buying a game key card at all? I'll look into this and I'll find out more for you when I can. All right, let's take our first break. When we come back, we're going to talk everything that was revealed at the THQ Nordic Showcase 2025. Stick around. We will be right back. Welcome back to the podcast. It is time to talk about everything that was revealed at the THQ Nordic Showcase 2025. THQ Nordic, owned and operated by your friends and mine at the Embracer Group, so I won't be surprised if all of the games that I mention here today will get canceled in the next 6 months. Long story short, we're going to take it from the top here. We got about 9 or so games to talk about. Kicking things off with SpongeBob SquarePants, Titans of the Tide. This is the new 3D platformer based on the SpongeBob SquarePants franchise. And I'll admit right here, I like SpongeBob. I'm not like an expert on Bob LeBunge. That is French for SpongeBob. I'm not an expert or anything like that, but I really like SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom. I know that they also made a follow-up to that game. Well, they did a remaster, remake of Battle for Bikini Bottom. They then also did a sequel to that game, and I guess this is the new, kind of game in that series called the Titans of the Tide. The clash between King Neptune and the Flying Dutchman has unleashed ghostly mayhem across Bikini Bottom. By the power of the BFFs, join SpongeBob and Patrick on their ghostliest adventure yet to once again save Bikini Bottom. No date that I can tell for this. It just says, coming November 18th. That is very tiny writing for that game. Anyways, I think that game looks okay. The way that the SpongeBob games kind of look okay. This is coming to PC, PS5, Xbox, and Switch 2, if that is your thing. Recreation. That is WRECK Reation. That is the new driving racing game. It is very much inspired by Burnout, and it's actually made by former Criterion and Burnout folks. These are the folks over at Three Fields Entertainment. If you know the name Three Fields Entertainment, it is probably because you played a little game called Dangerous Golf. These are the folks that made Dangerous Golf, and they are making a racing game. There is no date for this yet, but it is very much going to be a action racing, over-the-top racing game. You'll also be able to build your own tracks and share them as part of this game. They showed off more of Tides of Tomorrow. That is the multiplayer game where you can follow in the footsteps of friends and impact their decisions through your own story. That is going to be February 24th, 2026. Sacred 2 Remaster. I don't know if you know this about me. I am unapologetically a fan of Sacred 2. I don't think it's a great game, but that doesn't matter because I like Sacred 2, and I was quite excited to hear about this remaster. Unfortunately, no date for it just yet, but it is going to be, a remaster of Sacred 2. Is an open world action RPG of sorts, very much focused on, leveling up your character, fighting and quests and loot and all of that stuff. They say the remaster is going to bring in fan favorite, features, high res textures, better combat and bug fixes, along with other stuff that the community has requested. This game really caught my eye. I actually think this is a really nice looking game. It's called The Eternal Life of Goldman. Can Fairy Tales Hurt? It's a weird name, but it is a 2D side scroller game. Really gorgeous looking hand drawn art. You're exploring the archipelago. It's inspired by ancient fables and depicted in classic frame by frame animation. And you must defeat a mysterious deity. Really gorgeous art style. If you can just do me a favor and check that out, I think it looks really, really nice. Gothic 1 Remake has been around forever. We now know that it is going to launch in early 2026. That is coming to PC, PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. There's also a demo for it available right now if you want to check that out. And if you're like, you know what, I like Gothic, but I want that old school, kind of like that Key and Peele sketch. Well, I got good news for you. Gothic Classic is going to be coming out on consoles. That is going to be Gothic 1, 2, and 3. And it is coming out on consoles. Reanimal got another gameplay trailer. That is from the original creators of Little Nightmares. And then they ended with Darksiders 4, baby. Put up your fours, all right? The 4 horsemen are back. Put up your fours if you know what I'm talking about. Darksiders 4 is the game in which the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse show up to address the apocalypse. A long-running franchise, and the 4th game will feature all 4, and you'll be able to play as them, and it looks neat, but we don't have a lot of other details beyond that. Now let's talk about a little game called Starfield. There are reports, that Starfield is going to make its way to PlayStation 5 at some point because it's one of the few Xbox, Microsoft games that has not come out on PlayStation. New reports saying that it is targeting a PS5 release following weak sales of the expansion. It is coming to PS5, but not in 2025 is kind of the rumor. This is from Video Games Chronicles. As always, shout out to Video Games Chronicles, posted by Tom Ivan. Now, according to MP First sources, Bethesda owners are currently targeting a spring, that's March to mid-June 2026 release of the PS5 version of the game, which is yet to be officially announced. The site claims the sci-fi RPG isn't coming to PS5 this year, partially due to weak sales of its first expansion, Shattered Space. The story DLC launched in September, 1 year after the game's original release, and was met with mixed critical reviews and poor user reception. If you'll remember, I played a little bit of that DLC and I really disliked it. It was like my worst experience with Starfield to date. I have complicated feelings on Starfield, and that's fine, but that DLC was not good. While Microsoft's plans could change his claim that the Starfield PS5 release is being timed to coincide with the launch of the game's second expansion and other quality of life updates. Additionally, MP First isn't expecting the PS5 version of Starfield to be announced at Gamescom this month either. A port of Starfield has been anticipated ever since Microsoft shared its vision of the future of Xbox in February of 2024, which included plans to bring a wave of games to PlayStation and Nintendo consoles. Speaking of which, I don't see, this is not related to Starfield or anything else like that. Not a lot of Microsoft games on Switch. Like if I load up the Switch right now, if you'll humor me for just a moment here, and we go to a little store called the eShop. If I had another camera, I would show you, but I'm on it. I'm on it right now. And I go to search and I type in Microsoft. There are not a lot of games by Microsoft on the Xbox store. There are 4 games. It's Grounded 1, Pentiment, Ori and the Blind Forest, and Pillars of Eternity Complete Edition. While we're at it, I'm not saying put Starfield on the Switch too. That by no means am I asking for that. Nobody wants that. That being said, there are Activision games, there are Activision games and there are Bethesda games. And I guess that's maybe the frustrating thing is like when you search for Microsoft games on the Switch 1, it does not show everything. So if I go and I type in Activision sorry, just making noise into the camera or making noise in the microphone. Activision has, like for fairness, Activision did put out like Tony Hawk and it's got Crash and it's got that stuff and that's cool. But still, like when I think like Microsoft ass games, they're like no South of Midnight, no Avowed. There's still a lot of stuff that is kind of missing, and it would be nice just for my sanity to be able to just see all of the games in one convenient location if that was all possible under Microsoft instead of going through Activision, Bethesda, and Microsoft separately. But anyways, you never know. Starborn could be the title of the next Starfield expansion after Bethesda was discovered to have trademarked the name last year. I don't know what you do to Starfield. Like there are still bugs in Starfield that I've experienced to this day. There are still quests that are broken for me in Starfield to this day. I don't know what you do with this game to turn it around to like that expansion was bad, right? And I'm not going to pay any money. I'm not going to pay any more money for another Starfield expansion. I am not going to give them any more money for that game. If they put out a significant quality of life, update and there's some huge changes, big improvements, maybe I'll download the game and mess around with it and continue with my post game save and all of that stuff. And I might mess around with Starfield. I'm not going to completely write off Starfield because I did put 100 hours into the game. I ended up having some fun with it, but there's no way in hell you're going to seriously expect me to buy another expansion. So I don't know what that means to try to sell people on the game on PlayStation 5, right? Like how many of those people are just going to be like, fuck it, man, I'd rather play Avowed or fucking, The Outer Worlds 2 or something like that. Like it's a tough sell. It's a tough sell. The PS4 version of Genshin Impact is being delisted and shut down. Minimum specs for the iOS and Android versions are also being raised. If you play the Hoyo game to end all Hoyo games at Genshin Impact on PS4, you're going to have to move to another console because that is getting shut down. You might be asking yourself, well, when? Do I have time? Is there still time? What can I do? On September 4th, the PS4 version of the game will be removed from the PlayStation Store. After this date, players who have never downloaded the game on PS4 will no longer be able to find it, but those who have previously downloaded it will still be able to re-download it from their library. They'll be able to continue playing the game up until February 25th of 2026. In which all in-game purchases will also be removed from the PlayStation Store. Then on April 8th, 2026, all support for the game will officially stop and players will no longer be able to log into the PS4 version of the game. Genshin Impact is okay if that is your thing. I don't have anything else to say about that. Last week, we covered a big news story about itch.io delisting a lot of its not safe for work sexual games due to pressures from payment processors and things like that. I got two new stories that I really want to cover with you today. The first being that itch.io is starting to relist the free not safe for work content from its store, but paid content remains delisted as of now. No real other updates on that, but free games are starting to appear back on the platform. And then there's also been a bit of a scuffle between MasterCard and Valve, the owners and operators of Steam. MasterCard insists that it has not required restrictions on any of the games on Steam or itch.io to be removed. However, Valve is claiming otherwise in this kind of back and forth. Now, there's a lot of legal ease that we're going to try to cover in this, so I'll try to keep it as simple as possible. MasterCard is now attempting to distance itself from recent events, denying it put pressure on itch.io and Valve to remove games from their platforms. In a statement shared on its website, the credit card company insisted that it had not evaluated any game or required restrictions of any activity on game creator sites and platforms, contrary to media reports and allegations. Quote, "Our payment network fully follows standards based on the rule of law," it continued. "Put simply, we allow all lawful purchases on our network. At the same time, we require merchants to have appropriate controls to ensure MasterCard cards cannot be used for unlawful purchases, including illegal adult content." However, Valve claims otherwise, saying that while MasterCard didn't directly pressure it to remove adult content from Steam, the credit card company instead communicated with payment processors and their acquiring banks, and these in turn contacted Valve. So basically they had the banks and other payment processors do the dirty work for them. MasterCard did not communicate with Valve directly, despite our requests to do so, the Steam operator wrote in a statement shared with Kotaku over the weekend. MasterCard communicated with payment processors and their acquiring banks. Payment processor communicated this with Valve, and we replied by outlining Steam's policy since 2018 of attempting to distribute games that are legal for distribution. Basically saying that payment processors rejected this and specifically stated MasterCard's Rule 5.12.7 and risk to the MasterCard brand. So if you'd like to know what MasterCard's Rule 5.12.7 is, it prohibits transactions that are illegal or that in the sole discretion of the corporation may damage the goodwill of the corporation or reflect negatively on the marks. The easy part is easy to define. MasterCard says the sale of the products or otherwise, other than those in full compliance with the law, violates its terms. But the second is a much more open-ended, giving the company potentially limitless freedom to define what it is and isn't acceptable. It can then either fine or audit or withdraw service of violations. So to me, I believe Steam. I believe Valve. I believe that MasterCard, listen, I'm not going to fucking rally the troops around the evils of MasterCard or Visa or Amex. That's not what I'm about. However, when you get a MasterCard, it might have a certain bank associated with it, right? You have a bank that gives you a card through MasterCard or Visa or whatever. I can very easily imagine a scenario where, the MasterCard says, "Hey, the people that you have this bank, account with are buying weird porno games that are consensual and lawful, but we don't like them because it's naked people that are 3D characters having sex or whatever the hell's going on." And then maybe your bank goes and complains to Valve on MasterCard's behalf, right? I very easily imagine a scenario because, you don't have a direct link to MasterCard. You have a direct link to your bank that gives you a card from MasterCard. Very easy to believe that all of this is happening. And the other thing to note is that the later clause prohibits the sale of a product or service, including an image which is patently offensive and lacks serious artistic value, such as, by way of example and not limitation, images of non-consensual sexual behavior, sexual exploitation of a minor, non-consensual mutilation of a person or body part, and bestiality, but also any other material that the corporation deems unacceptable to sell in connection with a mark. Again, we're not talking about non-consensual sex in video games. We're not talking about sexual exploitation of minors. We're not talking about non-consensual mutilation of a person or body part or bestiality. Like, none of these games feature any of that stuff, but it may feature material that the corporation deems unacceptable. As the events of the Steam and itch.io saga continue to unfold, industry figures and representative bodies have spoken out against payment processor overreach. The International Game Developers Association recently showed its support for games depicting consensual adult content, pushing back against financial institutions influencing which stories can be told and sold in games with minimal transparency or public accountability, but with adult content increasingly under fire as more countries begin drafting legislation such as the UK's controversial Online Safety Act. The adult games industry may have a difficult road ahead. Final news story, Guitar Hero veterans over at Red Octane Games are looking to make a new game. So that is Red Octane Games, the developers of Guitar Hero, form a rhythm game development studio, and they're looking to put out a new video game, but the title will not be revealed until 2025, later this year. We're going to take our final break. When we come back, the games that I've been playing. Stick around. We'll be right back. All right. Welcome back. All right. Welcome back to the podcast. It is finally time to talk about the games that I've been playing. And really, I've been playing a variety of games, but I'm here to just talk about two of the games that I've been playing. I continue to play through Spider-Man 2 on the PC. Really, really enjoying that. I would say that is up there with one of my most favorite games played so far this year. I know that Spider-Man 2 originally came out earlier. It is now available on PC as of this year, but Spider-Man 2 is a beautiful game, a gorgeous game. I'm enjoying the story. For the most part, I'm enjoying the characters and the open world and all that stuff. It is just a great game. It is more of what I wanted out of Spider-Man 1 and Miles Morales, though I still feel like Miles Morales is my favorite. And I think that's because just the story, the scope of the world, and everything in Miles Morales is just a leaner, tighter experience overall. But I love Spider-Man 2 for the most part. Really, really enjoying that. There is a chance that I will not have a lot to say on Spider-Man 2 until I am done the game, but I cannot stress enough. Spider-Man 2 is a fabulous game. Very happy with it so far. I think it runs pretty well on PC. It looks great on PC as well. I really wanted to wrap the show up talking about my time with the Switch 2 and Donkey Kong Bananza. I have the Switch 2. I am holding it in front of me right here, right now. You can see it in the video version of the podcast here. And overall, I think it's great's maybe a strong word. I think it's a pretty good console experience so far. I do recognize that, they have somewhat slavishly committed to a lot of the design that existed in the original Switch 1. I don't like the Joy-Cons. We were talking about the Joy-Cons earlier on in the show. The Joy-Cons are the detachable controller that you can mount to, either hold in your hands single or with motion controls, or you can attach them to the console itself for that handheld experience. I just don't think these are great controllers. I don't like them in the handheld mode. For the most part, I don't like them when I am playing them on their own. But I will say, like, to give Nintendo credit, the fact that you at least get what is essentially two controllers out of the box at launch is kind of nice, right? Like, I bought another controller. I have the currently I'm using the 8-Bit Do Pro 2 controller, which I think is not a bad controller. It's probably one of the better 8-Bit Do controllers that I have experienced. I'm using that as my primary controller for the Switch 2, excuse me. That being said, if you were to get, Mario Kart World for the kids or whatever. The fact that you can actually tilt the Joy-Cons on their side and play them as, single control options, I think is totally acceptable for kids and stuff like that. I mean, these are expensive. They're like, I didn't look up the price. I should, but the Switch 2 Joy-Cons are not cheap. Joy-Con. I'm going to type that into my computer. So the Joy-Cons, if you break the blue or the red Joy-Con, a new set of these is $124. It is not cheap. Not cheap. But like I said, if you have them, they're going to be the only thing really you can use right now for the handheld version of the Switch. If you take them off the control, off the console itself, you can use them as player 1 and player 2 controllers for games such as like Mario Kart or tennis or stuff like that, which works. And then also the controllers do, the console does include something called the Joy-Con grip. This is not a great solution, but it works if that's all you got. The Joy-Con grip, again, if you're watching the video version of the show, it might be easier to show, but the Joy-Con grip is a plastic shell with like the handles extended out like a controller. And what you do is you put the Joy-Cons on the controller onto the plastic frame, and it essentially gives you like a little full version of a controller for you to play. Now, if you don't know anything about the Joy-Cons, you have your face buttons, your B, Y, X, A on the right hand Joy-Con. You also have your like traditional control camera control stick, your right stick on the right Joy-Con. You also have your R1 and your ZR, so you got your like 2 different shoulder buttons as well. On the left Joy-Con, you have your traditional movement left stick, as well as a D-pad at the bottom of it. So again, if you look, imagine you cut like a PlayStation controller and Xbox controller in half. That's not too dissimilar to what the Joy-Cons are. The difference is that the Joy-Cons are very skinny and narrow compared to what you would see if you were to cut off a traditional Xbox or PlayStation controller. But the other thing is, once you take them off of their, Joy-Con grip or the Switch, you'll also see that there are shoulder buttons where the mounting frame is for the controller, so you can still experience a proper 2-player game of Mario Party or something like that on this if you wanted to as well. But like I said, the Joy-Cons have always been like a little too skinny, a little too narrow for my taste. The console is a little bit bigger of a display compared to the original Switch 1, a little bit heavier as a result. And I just find the Joy-Con, the Switch 1 in handheld mode just ever so slightly too heavy and a little awkward holding it in the Joy-Cons, in my humble opinion. Like if I was like laying in bed or something, and like the console's like maybe above my face, it might not be super comfortable. When I sit here and actually play it on the, sitting at the desk here, kind of looking down on it, it's okay. It's fine for the most part. I don't love it, but again, like I said, it could be worse. Overall, I think the way they handle the virtual card system is fine. I have not tried trading games or lending games to anybody or anything like that. I don't have all of the games on my console. Like I have a handful of Switch 1 physical games, and then I do also have a smattering of digital games on there. The console itself comes with 256 gigabytes of storage space. Right now I have 109 gigabytes of storage space free. When I look at the games that I have installed, it doesn't actually tell me how many games I have, but let's see if I can just quickly count it up here. Borderlands pre-sequels installed on here, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Fast Remix, Final Fantasy 9, the Game Boy Advance games from the Nintendo Switch Online, Mario Kart, Donkey Kong Bonanza is a digital game. Mario Kart World, I have Nintendo 64 Classics, Nintendo GameCube Classics, Ollie Ollie World, Ollie Ollie Switch Stance, that's Ollie Ollie 1 and 2. I have Pokemon Home, Pokemon Sword, The Rayman Legends Definitive Edition demo, Sega Genesis Collection, Sega Genesis Classics Collection, I guess I should say. Shinobi Art of Vengeance demo, Super Mario Maker 2, Mario Kart Odyssey I have as a physical game, Super Nintendo Entertainment System, that's the classic games on there. Elliot, The Adventures of Elliot, the Millennium Tales debut demo. I have The Messenger, I have Torchlight, and I have XCOM 2, and that is about, it's taking up more than half of the space on there. If I go over to Donkey Kong and I actually look at how much space Donkey Kong is taking up, let me see if I can actually find how much space the individual games are taking up, because I'm curious. I should also mention, it's maybe not that exciting, that the Switch one has pretty much the same menu system and layout as the Switch 2 has pretty much the same menu layout and system as the Switch 1. Like, this is nothing too crazy. This is, if you've used the Switch 1, you will look at this and say the Switch 2 is pretty much a Switch 1. And I mean, that's fine. It's a more powerful system, more powerful hardware. And that's cool, but also, like, if I sort by biggest games, XCOM 2 is currently taking up the most space with 24.3 gigabytes. Donkey Kong Bonanza is only 8.7 gigabytes of storage space. The Nintendo Switch 2 version of Breath of the Wild is 10.5 gigabytes, but I still need I believe I still need the cartridge inside to play it. Let me see if I can actually launch this. Sorry to be doing this on the fly. Yeah, so I still need to put my Switch 1 version of my physical version of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild into this game to launch into the console to launch the Switch 2 version of it, which is fine. It is what it is. But these are not huge games, at least not right now. My understanding is that, like, one of the biggest games on Switch 2 is the Switch 2 version of Cyberpunk 2077, which is like roughly 60 gigabytes. So I could definitely see a scenario where people are running out of space, but for now, I don't think that's going to be a problem for me personally. Even as someone who plays a lot of digital games, I just I don't see it. But I will go over to the store and I'm going to see how big it is. You are looking at 60 gigabytes of space needed for Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition, which includes the base game and the DLC for your Switch 2. I mean, yeah, you're not going to be able to have like 3 Cyberpunks. Maybe you can get 3 Cyberpunk worth of, open world big games on your Switch 2. But for now, I just don't see it being that big of an issue. And also, like, I have a lot of these games installed on my Switch 2 because I've been messing around, playing around. Like, oh, let me launch this and see how this is. Do these games run better on a Switch 2 compared to a Switch 1 and all of that stuff? What I've noticed is that a lot of third-party games don't necessarily run that much better on the Switch 1 if they haven't received any significant updates or anything like that. When I fired up Fortnite briefly, that looked better, that played better, that ran better, for sure. But, that's not going to compare to like the PC version or a PS5 version of Fortnite or anything like that. And when I played a little bit of Borderlands, the pre-sequel, that was also a thing where it's like, well, this game is like kind of running at 30, I think 30 frames per second. It doesn't seem amazing. I'd be curious to see what the performance ends up being on Borderlands 4 when that comes to Switch 2. But for now, I am kind of playing this as a slightly better, Switch 2. I'm okay with it. I'm at peace with it so far. Like I said, I'm not in love with everything that I've experienced. It turns out that maybe I just don't have the patience or the gaming skills to play through Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild in a way that doesn't feel so frustrating. I found myself kind of tripping over myself and bumping into things and kind of just struggling through some of the early parts of the game. Maybe it's a scenario where you need to focus more on the story of the game in order to get yourself in a better position. But like, I've just been exploring out there doing shit, and I just like, I'll run across an enemy that just fucking just kills me in one shot, right? Or I'll find myself trying to navigate an environment and I don't have the stamina and the resources to navigate, climbing, mountains when it's raining, and when it's raining, you slip and you fall off the mountains. I should mention that like the climbing in Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, you have a stamina bar. So as soon as you climb onto the wall, your stamina starts to drain down. And if it drains completely, you will fall off the mountain or whatever the cliff, whatever you're climbing up basically. But you can upgrade your stamina as you go about the game by doing these various shrines and puzzles and stuff like that in the environment. And you can upgrade either your health or your stamina. So I've been trying to focus on upgrading the stamina, but like it's still not a ton of stamina. And that is still a harsh game, right? Because if you climb a mountain and it gets cold, you can start to freeze to death unless you have the outfits to keep yourself warm, or the food. If you have like, if you can find chili peppers in the world, and if you cook food with the chili peppers in it, the chili peppers will give you like, oh, you have 10 minutes of frozen protection, so you won't freeze to death because you ate this spicy chili or whatever. And it's still like it's a great game. It's an incredibly well made game. I just don't know if it's necessarily for me. I might keep picking away at it, but I fired back up Super Mario Odyssey. That is a fabulous game. Really, really enjoying my replay through of Mario Odyssey. I haven't gotten too far in Mario Odyssey because I knew that I really wanted to get to Donkey Kong Bonanza and kind of see what other people have been talking about with that game. And man, when it comes to Donkey Kong Bonanza, that might be the best game I have played this year so far. I am blown away by, I think, not only the pure beautiful simplicity of a well-made Nintendo platformer game, but also just how much new life can be brought into a long-running franchise and character like Donkey Kong and still feel authentic to, I think, the Donkey Kong character and experience. I think Donkey Kong Bonanza is a wonderful, wonderful game. And if you're not too familiar with Donkey Kong Bonanza, let me kind of break it down for you. Donkey Kong Bonanza is a third-person, kind of platformer adventure game. You are running, you're jumping, you're climbing, you're collecting things, you're doing all the stuff that you would do in a lot of those games. But the difference is that Donkey Kong has a strong emphasis on destruction in the environment. So when you think about it, it really translates well into the controls. So if you look at the controls on a Nintendo, the face button specifically, you have B at the bottom, Y on the left, X on the top, and then A on the right, which is totally different than Xbox and PlayStation. Makes things very, very confusing. But the thing is that, 3 of those buttons are used for swinging the limbs of Donkey Kong. So if I hit B, which is on the bottom, he is going to punch the ground. And when you punch the ground, you actually start to tunnel into the earth below you. Assuming Donkey Kong is strong enough to punch through the material that he's standing on, you will tunnel into the environment. If you hit Y on the left part of the face buttons, he will punch forward. And if you hit X, he will actually punch up. So if you're trying to get out of some sort of cavern or cave system, whatever you've dug for yourself, and there's material above Donkey Kong's head, you can actually punch above your head, and then you basically clear it, and then you hit A and you can jump out of it. And you can, when you jump to a surface, similar to like Breath of the Wild, when you jump to a surface, assuming you can stick to it, you can just climb whatever that surface is. There's no stamina system in Donkey Kong or anything like that. And you immediately get all of these abilities in like the first 5 minutes of the game. It is so quick of a premise and a starter of like, there are evil monkeys. These evil monkeys have stolen the bananas. You can destroy large parts of the world as you navigate through the environment. Go get the bananas. Go stop the evil monkeys. All right, go. 5-minute setup. And you start off the game like a cave system. And I must have spent goddamn like 10 minutes or so just exploring the cave, breaking through the cave and rocks and creating my own tunnels and stuff. Just exploring the space and the way the destruction and stuff works, because it just felt so good so quickly in the game. And as I'm playing through it, I'm thinking to myself, well, how are they going to keep this fresh and interesting, right? Like, let's say I've bought in enough that I'm willing to just play through the game and and maybe I do a lot of the side stuff or collectibles or whatnot, how do they keep it fresh? Well, the thing I would say is, if I look at my playtime for Donkey Kong, I'm hoping I can find my playtime for Donkey Kong. Just give me a moment here as I pull it up here. What I would say is, however long it's been since I started playing this game, I put about 10 hours into Donkey Kong so far. In the 10 hours, the punching through the earth and the ground and all that stuff, that hasn't gotten old. That feels as good, if not better, than it did when I first started playing the game. The other thing I would say is that when you are starting to tunnel through the environment, you will find collectibles hidden in the dirt and the earth around you. Now, these are not essential collectibles. Like, it's never going to be a scenario in the game where they have really fucked with you and tried to hide something in some obscure bullshit place. Like, a lot of the collectibles I have found have just been through naturally exploring and being like, that looks like it could be hiding something. And then it turns out it is hiding something. But instead, what you find when you're tunneling through the earth are gold. The gold is one of the currencies in the game. You can use it to buy different items and things like that. But when you're tunneling through the earth, you will also find maps. And these maps will actually point you to the more important collectibles in the environment. So I'll be punching through the earth and I'll be like, oh, this map will show me where a banana is. Bananas are the main thing that you're collecting. You'll also find like fossils and other artifacts and stuff like that as well. But bananas are the main thing. So you'll be tunneling through the earth, doing your Donkey Kong business, and you'll find a map. And then you open up the map and it'll be like, oh, hey, somewhere else in this level, here's where you can find a banana. And usually I have found that a lot of those bananas that are in the environment that I'm finding right now or on my map still available are ones that I can find with the abilities that I have. It's not like, oh, come back later. Like, a lot of that stuff, you either will be able to get in the level as you play through it, or you can just get it upon entering into the first level. It's not like, come back in 30 hours when you get your triple jump ability. It's like, no, if you can find it, you'll probably get it. So in that sense, it's just breezy and easy, and I'm okay with that because it feels so good. That's the thing I cannot stress enough, is that punching through the earth, going ape shit for lack of a better word, just feels so good. It feels so much fun. But then they start to introduce this idea of like different upgrades and abilities that you can get, such as like, oh, you can now punch through the materials of that you find in the earth faster. You can pick up the earth and like surf along the ground with the environment that you just picked up. You can throw stuff. You can turn into different bonanza. I think they're called bonanzas. Like you basically like you charge up your meter, and Donkey Kong becomes like a much bigger gorilla type character, and he is a lot stronger and he's bigger and he can punch through more of the environment a lot faster. That's a lot of fun. My understanding is that there are more collectibles like that, abilities like that. I only have the one ability so far, so I just become bigger Donkey Kong mode or whatever, big bad Donkey Kong mode. But those Bonanza modes are a ton of fun as well. I think it's a great looking game. There are some frame rate issues with the game. Like once you are really digging through the earth and destroying a lot of stuff around you, the frame rate can drop a little bit. In my experience, I find it to be appropriate for just how crazy the action is on display. Like to me, it's not that bad because I'm like, no, I'm really fucking up shit right now by, tunneling through the earth as I am. So the idea that the frames drop a little bit to me seems appropriate for all the craziness that's going on screen. You'll know this like 10 hours in and I still have the first, ability. That's because I have done a lot of the collectibles that I've tried to find. I've also just spent a lot of time just messing around. Like I'll just go into a level and I'll just like for an hour, just like tunnel through the different parts of the earth and the environment around me. And I should mention that your Bonanza energy is charged up by collecting gold, and you are going to find tons and tons and tons, like an insane amount of gold just by tunneling through the earth. And then when you find more gold, you'll find like a treasure chest. If you punch that treasure chest that's hidden underground, that'll have more gold. So if you're trying to trigger the Bananzas really quickly, like the big DK Bananza mode, you will activate that mode. You will have tunneled through the earth. You will have earned more than enough to immediately activate that mode again once your timer runs out. It's not about keeping the timer going as long as possible. It's just if you earn enough gold, you'll be able to trigger it. And then the timer is set at what it is. You can upgrade how long the timer is, but it's not about how much gold you collect in that moment. It's just about like, oh, I have a level upgrade too, and now I can do it for 60 seconds instead of 30 seconds or whatever the case may be. But goddamn, that game is just so silly and so fun. And it is, when I think about Donkey Kong, obviously a classic and icon going back to the Donkey Kong days of arcade. But if you really try to imagine, like, what does Donkey Kong have to offer in terms of being a platformer, in terms of being like an adventure game and that sort of thing, it is really his strength and his goofy personality, because, he is essentially trying to save the world by stopping these evil monkeys. But every character that he talks to, the only thing he really has to say to them is banana. The character will be like, hey, the water's gone bad in this area, and DK, you got to bust through these pipes and clear it up. And then Donkey Kong just says banana, and you can like have different dialogue options. But he's just very much saying banana almost all the time. He's just banana, 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 banana. When you collect one of the special bananas in the game, it always says, oh, banana. So I've just been walking around just my everyday life being like, oh, banana. You'll, get to the end of the level and you have to punch the bananas to unlock them. And as soon as you do that, it just says, oh, banana. And then he gives like a thumbs up. Pauline is the other character in the game. Pauline is a great character. She mostly is there kind of pushing through some elements of the story, but she does have her own abilities, such as singing. You can hold down one of the buttons to sing, and that will open up hidden doors and stuff like that in the environment. I'm hoping that maybe Pauline's character and abilities and stuff develop over time. But for right now, I really enjoy Pauline. She's a younger character in this. If you think about Pauline in Mario Odyssey, she's like the mayor of New Donk City. In Donkey Kong Bonanza, she's like 13, so she's very shy, timid, young girl. But I think she's really cute, and her relationship with Donkey Kong is like, she kind of does the talking, and and Donkey Kong just kind of punches things. But then like she tries to get some human elements out of Donkey Kong. There are like rest stops in the environment, so you can go and basically change your clothing, costumes, and all that stuff, and you can go to sleep. If you go to sleep in those parts of the environment, you will earn like bonus life that you can use as you go about. But there's always like a little cutscene before you go to bed, and she'll be like, DK, what do you think about like Donkey Kong, what do you think about when you're punching things, or just silly things like that? I think that's cute. I think it's a lot of fun. But goddamn, like, if it sounds like all I really have to say about Donkey Kong Bonanza is that it's silly and fun, it is so potent in how silly and fun it is that I cannot help myself but like it, even if I'm maybe at a loss for words for intrinsically describing all the ways in which I like it. I'm hoping to maybe make more progress. Maybe I'll just like put my head down and really burn through more of the story so I can see more of the abilities. I know that there's like a zebra that you can unlock and play as and all this other crazy stuff. I just haven't gotten there because I spent so much time in those other worlds just having a great time. So I don't even know how long Donkey Kong Bonanza is. Let's go to how long to beat. And let's see how long I'm going to be playing this. Okay. So they're saying on how long to beat, they're saying main story is maybe about 17 and a half hours. But you can spend like 50 or so hours doing everything if you're trying to complete everything in the game. I'm 10 hours in. We'll see how it goes, but I'm really enjoying Donkey Kong Bonanza so far. That has more than justified me buying the Switch 2 as far as I'm concerned. I haven't played a lot of Mario Kart World. I'll maybe get back to Mario Kart World after I'm done Donkey Kong Bonanza. But we'll see how it goes, and I imagine that Mario Kart World is going to see a ton of updates over time. with expansions and DLC and maybe free updates and all sorts of stuff. So I'll definitely be keeping an eye on Mario Kart World as it continues to evolve. But for now, Donkey Kong Bonanza is where it is at. Oh, banana. That is going to do it for the podcast. I have been GnittWitt. Make sure to swing over to linktree.com/GnittWitt, GnittWitt, for all of the links to all of the things that I do and the places that I do them. I'm going to try to get into the Battlefield 6 open beta early access period. I think that kicks off on Thursday. It's Wednesday. The time of this recording, I think it's going to be happening Thursday, August 7th. So we'll keep an eye on that and see how it goes. But I'll be playing a lot of Donkey Kong in the near future. That's going to do it for the show. Thank you so much for watching, listening, and hanging out. We'll see you all next week. Take it easy.